Hi everyone, so the main issue I wanted to address in this video is about the supposedly declining numbers of Jews in this world, and as many have pointed out, part of the problem is that patrilineal Jews, or those who follow other, for lack of a better term, those who follow other religions or sects of Judaism than rabbinical Judaism, are not counted as Jews, and this is despite that when, as someone pointed out, when you do DNA testing, you can see that someone is Jewish, and of course they're not counted as Jewish because, hey, they don't fit rabbinical norms. And I'm going to give you one example. Let me go to Helen Bonham Carter, and her granddad, who is clearly Jewish, was not counted as Jewish. I don't know if the situation has changed. Talks about her maternal granddad. Okay, it says her mother, Ni Papa de Callahan, is a psychotherapist who is mainly of Jewish background, and talks about her maternal granddad somewhere. It says, okay, so we have to go to her maternal grandma, and so it talks about Eduardo Papa de Callahan. Oh, good. So someone did add the categories for Bohemian Jews, Czech Jews, etc., because her granddad was a Bohemian Jew. This is her maternal granddad. He risked his life during the Holocaust to save a whole bunch of other Jewish people. He survived Franco's regime while he died in 1972 in London. He survived the Holocaust because he was a Spanish diplomat, and he had risked his life by securing visas for other Jews, and he was in a part of France that had become Vichy France that was surrendered to the Nazis, or I guess, I don't know how that worked. Well, there was France and then there was Vichy France, but I mean, in any case, he was in the part where, okay, so I guess, anyway, I don't know how that all goes, but I mean, there was that point where the Nazis occupied all of France, and then you had the part that later became Vichy France, and the part that was France, but anyway, so her maternal granddad was not counted as Jewish for a long time, and he wasn't even counted as Jewish, and that insult to injury, Yad Vashem did not even count him. When they finally recognized his actions, they didn't count him as Jewish, they counted him as righteous among the nations, and I'm sitting there going, you mean this guy risked his life knowing that he could have ended up in the concentration camps because the Nazis, for lack of a better term, perverted Tanakh in order to basically murder every Jewish person on the planet. And as I said, they perverted Tanakh, and they counted patrilineal Jews for bad purposes. And so this guy, who is a patrilineal Jew, is not even counted as Jewish because his dad was Jewish. And as I've said before, in terms of the 1/16th rule, that actually comes from Tanakh. And if you look at 1 Chronicles 7, we can see where that comes from. Because if you think about it, Isaac was the first Jew because he was born at a promise. And it says, the descendants, sorry about that, the descendants of Manasseh, his Syrian concubine bore him Machir, the father of Gilead, the father of Asriel. Machir took as his wife the sister of Hupim and Shupim, whose name was Maacah. The name of Gilead's grandson was Zelophehad, but Zelophehad begot only daughters. Well, and the point there, too, is that since Isaac was the first Jew, since he was born at a promise, in contrast to Ishmael, then we see that Isaac was the first Jew, and that it was Manasseh's descendant, Machir, so technically, okay, yeah, so, Machir ben Menashe, and there's another article, too, that, I would recommend that everyone reads. It's called The Truth About Matrilineal Descent, and I'm going to put that in the description, and then, The Truth About Matrilineal Descent, and then I've tried to find the exact phrase, but a phrase that stuck with me is that, do I have to take a DNA test to prove that you are my children? And he's talking about this because the daughter who is raised Catholic and she wants to convert to Judaism, the dad yells at her and says, you know what, don't do it. And he gets mad at her because he says, how can you convert to, oh, here we go. That's the exact phrase. How can you convert to what you are? Do I have to take a DNA test to prove you are my children? And this is, the answer was written by Rabbi Barry Dov Lerner. And, she said, this is the woman who wrote, let's see. I am in my 40s. I come from a Jewish father and a Catholic mother. At the time, my father wanted to raise his daughters Jewish, but was told that we were not Jews by a rabbi because of the mother and his part in our creation did not count. Despite that, by the way, woman comes from man, and despite that, Adam had a rib taken out of him. But anyway, so I'm going to put the full link there, and even Rabbi Lerner concedes there are those who see Judaism uniquely as maternal in descent, matriarchal descent, as you noted. This follows Jewish law the past 2,000 years. It does seem that before then it was patriarchal descent, and we don't really know why there was a change. And even the truth about matrilineal descent says the same point. And Rabbi Lerner is saying that this is his feeling, but the truth about matrilineal descent basically makes his point. My own feeling, based on historical material of several specialists, is that the rabbis of the first 200 years of the Common Era saw how many children were being born of rape, slavery, and all forms of sexual abuse of Jewish women. In an act of compassion and working within the Roman concept of citizenship, they made the law to accept the child of a Jewish mother as a Jew by birth. So what began as compassion and inclusiveness and leniency then has made a situation today that they could never contemplate. An open society in which Jews can marry non-Jews, a complicated situation, if not a crisis for the family. But even Josephus himself, and you can also check out this website, Jewish Justice. I'm trying to make sure I got this right. I think it's Jewish. There we go, jewishjustice.org. Oh. Okay, it looks like it's down right now. Okay, very interesting. I'm going to Google just make sure I got the right domain. But Jewish Justice talks about how alright, maybe I'm looking at the wrong. Okay, Jewish Justice, it talks about patrilineal Judaism, and we can see that patrilineal Jewishness is the norm, and that when matrilineal Jews were Jews, there was an exception to, okay, Jewish Justice, jewishjustice.com. Okay, so I made a mistake. jewishjustice.com, I'm going to put that in the description too. And so the issue too, another issue, which Arut Sheva gladly gloated about, and unfortunately most people on Facebook were supportive of is that Netanyahu and Likud have decided to try to pass a bill that makes the Talmud the basis of the land, the basis of the law of the land for Israel. As I said before, I knew that Netanyahu was kind of sneaky, and I kind of knew that from things I had seen when he was giving away some land to the so-called Palestinians, for example, and pandering to the Chadim, I knew that this guy was not really a Zionist, but an anti-Zionist who's deliberately trying to destroy and undercut Israel. And now you can see it, because if he's successful in getting the Talmud to be the law of Israel, we're in trouble. And now, as people have pointed out, that'll undercut Israel and just add insult to injury. And as others have pointed out, we already have Torah. Why the heck do we need to add Talmud? And another good website too I'm going to recommend is .amit.org. And as I said, we need to start counting patrilineal Jews, and we need to not make the Talmud the law of the land. And also we need to apply the 1/16th rule, despite that it was perverted by those who wanted the destruction of the Jewish people, because the 1/16th rule was designed to protect the Jewishness of a family line for as long as possible. And so, again, we need to count patrilineal Jews. We need to take back the 1/16th rule and say, you know what? The Nazis are not going to pervert what God designed in order for Israel to be protected. And we also need to say, another thing too, we also need to say, you know what? As Tanakh says, Jewishness is ethnic and not just religious, despite the lies of those like Jesse Strauss, who, by the way, if you look him up, he was definitely a self-hating Jew. And we also need to make Tanakh, not the Talmud, the basis of the law of the land for Israel. And so that's that. And by the way, it's getting really hot here, so I'm sweating right now, and I gotta go anyway, because I gotta get ready for physical therapy. And by the way, that's been going really well. And I'm gonna post the links in the description. And also, on a lighter note, I'm gonna ask you to vote on this soda head question, and I'm gonna put that in the link as well. And you will see what the question is about, and I'll keep you updated on the soda head matter as well in the coming days. And there you go.